So, before we get into all the different things that you can do as far as working up to the swing exercise-wise, let's go over some of the mechanics in a little bit more in detail, and then we're going to practice some different moves that can even work you up to the point where you're able to do some of the progressions or some of the exercises more properly, like the deadlift, go backswing, pendulums, different things like that, which we'll get into in other videos. So anyway, real quick, let's go over again every single time. I want to drill this into your head because it's paramount if you're going to do the swing correctly. So, number one, biggest, best, most important point, hinge, not a squat. It's not this. It's not this. It's a nice deep hinge. Shoulders are packed and down. You can see you got like this nice sort of V shape. Shoulders over knees, hips above. Head's not cranked up, but kind of neutral. And when you come back down, hips did dodge back. Okay? Hinge, not squat. Hinge, not squat. Hinge, not squat. Whenever you are doing the kettlebell swing, so you got that hinge down, but now whenever you're driving the kettlebell up, you're not raising it up. You're not raising it up with your arms. You're not squatting it up. You're not raising it up with your shoulders. No, no. Hips drive, arms guide. Your hips are going to shoot forward nice and hard. You're going to drive hard through your heels, like you're driving your heels through the floor into the earth, really rooting them through the floor. And you're squeezing your glutes together, boom, real hard. You're just, boom. It's almost like if your hips were a fist, boom, popping them forward. Okay? Your arms are just stopping the kettlebell from flying this way. So remember, swing is a horizontal projection of force. So think about baseball. You've got a pop fly, and you've got a line drive. Line drive is a ball that's thrown like straight at the person. Pop fly goes up in the air in a big arc. If you were to let go of the kettlebell, don't do it. If you were to let go of the kettlebell, top of the swing, the kettlebell would be like a line drive because your hips are boom, shooting forward, boom, shooting that force straight forward this way. Go right through the wall, break all my mirrors, whatever the case is. It would not go, wouldn't be a pop fly where if you let go of it, the kettlebell goes up, the big arc, it goes straight out, okay? Last thing, kettlebell falls at the top of the swing. So you are going to wait till the last second. You're not going to resist the kettlebell. You're not going to try and stop it. You keep your shoulders down and packed. Let your arms just drop. Remember, we talk about this plank. You're going to stay in this plank as long as you can and dodge your hips back. Kind of like they're on a rail, like a straight rail, and just dodge them straight back best you can. Out of the way just before the kettlebell hits you, right? Here. Okay? All right, and we'll get into more of that whenever we get into the two-handed swing. All right, some beginner moves to kind of get the sensation, the feeling down of this. The first thing we're going to talk about is a short stop drill. So the short stop drill, and by the way, I can't take credit for any of these things. They were trained and perpetuated a long time ago by the RKC and also Strong First, which is Pavel Tsatsoulin's both organizations he helped start. He's currently with Strong First, whatever. But and also you can find a lot of good technique tips in Pavel's book, Simple and Sinister, as well. Anyway, so the first one is a short stop. And so you think about you're on the baseball field and you see a short stop. And then, so again, your feet are just maybe a little bit wider than shoulder width apart. Or I'm sorry, hip width apart, but less than shoulder. Toes kind of forward, maybe turned out just slightly. And you're going to get down kind of like you're a shortstop waiting for the batter to hit the ball. You're waiting for the ball to come. So what you can do is you make this nice deep hinge. So notice that I'm trying to maintain a straight line from the crown of my head all the way to the tailbone. My knees are bent, that's totally fine. My arms are kind of right here. My shoulders are down and back. I'm not hunched over like this. You don't see well, you shouldn't see a baseball player hunched over like this. I'm just right here. Nice straight back. Think of we call it like a silverback, like, you think of a silverback gorilla and they've got like a nice proud chest, shoulders are down and back. Just get the feeling of this hinge. Now, obviously, whenever you bend down when we get into the deadlift and different things like that, you are going to have to sink down deeper. But notice that I still maintain this nice hinge where my rear end is like really as far back as I can get it. So you can practice this drill. If you hold it for a while, you actually get a little bit of a burn in your legs too. Hardstyle plank. So this is another one. And I'm going to show you two different ways, and you might have a little bit of trouble seeing this first one, but so a lot of people talk about planks. A hardstyle plank is actually where you're going to practice building tension through your entire body all at once, except for your neck and your face. So usually we do this on the floor, and so you see a lot of people do planks like this. Sometimes they're kind of sagging or whatever, but this type of plank, you're actually going to get down, your elbows are going to be right over your shoulders, and ball your fists up, feet are together, and whenever I would give you the signal, you would exhale sharply and then try to maintain a straight line, again from the crown of your head to your tailbone. You shouldn't be able to hold a hardstyle plank more than 10 seconds before it starts to get real shaky, because you're making your legs hard, you're making your abs rock hard, you're making your glutes nice and tight. You're practicing that full body tension because that's the top of the swing. Okay, so I'll go ahead and demonstrate. So again, and even, I held that for, 5-6 seconds, whatever. And even that, just building that tension, practicing, bracing those abs, kind of like you're trying to shred the floor apart with your elbows, following your fists up, just making this nice and tight. You can even see my face got a little bit red from doing this. So the top of the swing, like all of this is locked out. Now, I am gripping some with my hands, but for the most part, now I'm doing the vertical. Rolling those shoulders down and back. We talk about like snapping the handle of the kettlebell in half, and that rolls your pits your elbows up, shoulders down and back. Kind of squeeze those shoulder blades together. Head's not jutting forward. It's not back. You're not back like this. If you're maintaining that plank, make your abs rock hard, you are not going to be able to easily bend, especially if you're also squeezing those glutes nice and hard too. Hip bridges. So these are actually kind of like what you would expect. You get down, and usually I don't have one right now, but you would want to maybe put like a shoe or something to press between your knees, because you want to try to keep your knees together, and you're just going to push your hips straight up to the ceiling and back down. And because you put your knees together, it's really forcing you to squeeze those glutes to drive your hips up. This isn't really primarily trying to build muscle. This is more like teaching you how to use the muscles you have to do the hinge properly and learn how to work to doing the swing. The last thing I'll talk about is breathing, and we'll talk about this more whenever we're doing the actual swing videos. You keep probably hearing me doing this like this sharp exhalation. And so what we're doing is something called a biomechanical breathing match. And whenever you train hardstyle kettlebells, what you want to do is you want to time your exhalation with the moment that you're exerting the most force. And so for instance, natural habit for people when they're breathing is they exhale like this. Like they exhale at the top. But if you think about it, you are using your hips to drive the kettlebell out, right? So what you want to do is you want to, so I'm doing this sharp exhalation. The reason I'm like doing this really hard exhalation is it's causing me to brace my midsection. We talk about, you want to brace that midsection. Like if someone would come along and like hit you or try to punch you, or come along and whack you in the stomach, it's almost like you're prepping for that. You want to brace that midsection, and that's going to cause you to lock all of this down. You're going to get so much more out of your swing, both because you're exhaling and pressurizing, boom, locking that core down at the same time that you're like driving those hips forward, squeezing those glutes together, driving hard through those heels. You're going to get so much more power and so much more out of the swings that you're doing. You could do really lazy swings like this. And I mean, that's better than nothing, right? Sure. But you want to really I don't know if you noticed, but also I inhale on the way back down. We'll go over more of that in detail. But so, practice the short stop drill, practice the planks, both on the floor and standing. Hip bridges, practice those. You could do 3 sets of 5. Hinge practice, so just practicing that hinge in that biomechanical breathing edge without the weight. Just think about, I'm in that plank right now. Hinge, plank, hinge, plank. All right. So we will get into more things, more exercises and ways that you can progress towards doing the two-handed swing and being the best that you can at it. Thanks.